everybody. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are here to recap the second weekend of Hallmark Christmas, Countdown to Christmas, Miracles of Christmas movies for 2022. It's amazing. We got through to Halloween Christmas movies, and so we decided we were going to call it Christmas-oween. So Halloween.
I like that.
Yeah. So I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Caroline is here.
Hey.
And Colleen is here.
Hello.
I hope you're all doing well and you had a nice Halloween weekend.
It was nice.
Yeah, I did too. I had a nice, relaxing weekend in between watching a million Christmas movies.
Right.
So they've had now 8 movies come out, Hallmark, for this season. How do you think they've started? What do you think, Caroline? How do you think?
Overall, I've enjoyed them all, like some more than others, but it's been a solid season so far. But Christmas is always like the first couple of weeks of Christmas are like always so excited. So it kind of like affects my judgment on some,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they're so good. But I've enjoyed them all, and I plan to watch them over. So
what do you think, Colleen? Do you think it's been a good start?
Yeah, actually, there hasn't been any clunkers in my opinion yet, so I guess that's good. Yeah, some are, like you said, Caroline, some are better than others, but overall, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. There's one that we'll talk about today that is my least favorite of the 11, including the Christmas in July movies. It's my least favorite so far, but not awful. Not like that one, Merry Christmas Match or whatever.
Yeah,
that one was one of the worst ever that year. With the weird peasant dress, and I don't know, it was just a strange movie. And that strange party where they were all there was like it. So weird. All right. Well, we're gonna talk about these. It's gonna be fun, and we have our crown scores for these movies, 1 to 5. And yeah, let's get started. So first up, we have on Friday, on the 28th, we had A Cozy Christmas Inn, and this is a like quiet sequel to one of the most favorite Hallmark Christmas movies, Christmas Under Wraps. And I guess maybe we should start out there that Caroline, what is your feeling about Christmas Under Wraps? Is it one of your faves?
I love Christmas Under Wraps. It's one of my favorites, but I like the I forget the other CCB movie with Jesse Hutch.
Let It Snow.
Yeah, Let It Snow. That's my
all
time. That's one of my favorites. So it's under that, but it's still like if it's on, I'm like, oh yes, I'll watch it. So
yeah. What do you think, Colleen, about Christmas Under Wraps?
Caroline, I'll reverse the two, but they're like right neck and neck. Like Christmas Under Wraps is my favorite CCB, and then Let It Snow is right under it. And then everything else is like way down from there for her.
Yeah.
I agree with you about Let It Snow. That is my favorite. I mean, my favorite CCB, I love Christmas Town. Maybe more than most. I just think that movie is so sweet and homey and cozy for a cozy Christmas Inn movie. I really love that movie, but I do love Let It Snow. It's so fun, like all the different Christmas traditions that get brought in. Like you kind of you wait and see, okay, what's the next one's going to be, like a Polish tradition or a German or whatever. And so that's, I think, the funnest part about it. But with Christmas Under Wraps, I enjoy it. We did it for On Friendship last year in 2021, and it's it's a fun, sweet movie. It's one of the better, I think. Girl from the City Goes to the Country,
for sure.
And the supporting cast, I love them all. So it's one of my favorite supporting cast.
Yeah, and it's nice because it does bring a little bit of Santa and Christmas magic. And I'm not gonna lie, when they bring it into this movie, it worked for me big time. I've seen Santa in the sleigh over the moon and everything. We'll talk more about it, but I got a little misty.
Aw,
So sweet,
it,
and I miss it.
it was sweet. I
It was
enjoyed it.
Mhm.
so sweet. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's read the description here. So it's a cozy Christmas inn, and this is on the 28th. It's Jodie Sweetin, David O'Donnell, Vivica A. Fox, and then it was I had the wrong director on here because Peter Sullivan is the director of this one, and it's and we got to interview him, and that was really fun. It's real estate executive Erica travels to Alaska during Christmas time to acquire a bed and breakfast, only to discover that it is owned by her ex. While there, she finds herself falling in love with the town and quite possibly him.
Oh,
Very, very cute. Uh, so I don't know if they ever really adequately explained why Vivica Fox, her girl boss, was interested in this inn. It
Mm-mm.
seemed to be a failing business. So I'm not
yeah.
really sure why she would want to invest in this money pit. Um, I also, since this thing was filmed in Utah, I don't know where this telescope thing is. I gotta find it.
Yeah, you should.
Oh, I gotta find it.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I have to say, I was surprised that they waited in the movie as long as they did to explain Lauren's disappearance.
Mhm.
And I was honestly shocked that they had her leave him. That I
Mhm.
thought for sure they were going to make her have died of something or whatever, and then we'd see this like memorial wall or something like that at the clinic or something like that, and that would be kind of their little way of the fact that they had her leave him seemed
Yeah,
very not Hallmark to me. I was really surprised.
I was too, and how soon she left. Like after like Christmas Under Wraps, like the story ended. Like they said, like she left not soon after, but it wasn't like years later that she
Yeah.
left. Like I was surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Colleen?
I I was satisfied with the description, like that they
Mhm.
addressed it.
Yeah.
But I do think it was very soon for her to leave. But I almost think maybe it was like since Candace is no longer on Hallmark, like here
Mhm.
we're gonna write her out and make her kind of like a villain.
Yeah.
Like that's my own little weird way of thinking.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that too. And I mean, it's surprising because I guess this was shot in December in Utah. So it was way before her announcement.
Oh, then yeah, then I don't know. Then
Oh.
So
already. Maybe the writing was on the wall.
it must have been. I mean, obviously it must have been to the extent that she would turn down the project because
Mhm.
originally it was Christmas Under Wraps 2, and then you can hear this all if you listen to the Peter Sullivan interview, but it was
Mhm.
originally Christmas Under Wraps 2. It has the same writer as Christmas Under Wraps. It has basically the whole same cast. She's the only difference. And so
Mm.
they turned it down. And my guess is, I would assume that they knew that she was getting this, she was, jumping ship
Mhm.
uh earlier than the rest, the rest of us found out, I think in what, like April.
Mhm.
It wasn't
Cause
it
it,
right after the Aurora Tea Garden movie?
yeah, it was like right
Yeah.
like the week after, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like
Yeah.
Yeah.
she shot the Roar Tea Garden like in November, I think. So that makes sense that after December, like when they filmed this movie, that she already made the decision, like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
leaving after this. Yeah.
So I think it really could have been kind of a dig, at the very least, a dig of the fact that she didn't agree to do the movie. And
Yeah.
then,
Mhm.
but it felt like Hallmark, like
It
Mm-hmm.
was
elbowing
a
her.
little subtle way of saying, see ya. You know what I mean? Like in a
Yeah.
nice way, like the nicest way you could make that happen.
Because people don't leave each other in Hallmark. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I
E-
mean, hardly ever.
Everybody on Twitter is like, she died, like
Yeah, I
Lauren
thought for
died.
sure
Like, yeah.
I thought for sure it would be like some kind of thing, and there would be like a memorial plaque or something like that that they'd walk past and be like, "Oh, that was Lauren. We loved her." You know what I mean? Something like that.
I
Mhm.
thought they would get they would have them married, and like then she died, or like she like car
Yeah.
accident or something like that. But I thought they would be married. Like,
Yeah,
or
yeah, me too, for sure.
yeah.
Like,
But
could not stand living there. She still wanted that fellowship.
yeah,
So
I guess
she
so,
went
huh?
back.
Well, and her dad in the original gave her a lot of grief about
Right.
that.
Mhm.
So maybe she just finally gave in to her dad's expectations. I don't know.
Oh man.
But it definitely added a layer. Like if this exact same movie had been made, it would just, without this like Christmas in Wraps sequel element, it
Mhm.
would be just kind of a little bit more of a bland movie. But it did add sort of a level, it added sort of a layer of fun and intrigue to the Hallmark fans.
Mhm.
To see things back, see things still the same, and also to see how they would handle this whole thing. It made it more fun.
And casting Jodie of all people, just crazy.
Yes, yes. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's almost like it's again. I wouldn't call it a dig, because I do think Jodie and Candace are friends for real.
Yeah.
But like, it was just something about it. Maybe it's just, like I said, my twisted mind. I don't know.
No, it definitely felt whether it was or not, whether it was intended to be or not, it felt a little bit like Hallmark trolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So Vivica A. Fox, she says she wants this in. And there was also, this is just like a tiny detail that probably nobody else has noticed. At the beginning of the movie, she's like decorating this Christmas tree. And I don't know why the boss would somehow have a problem with this or whatever, but she seemed to be very concerned about like hiding the fact she was decorating it. And she puts the ornament on the chair. And I was expecting there to be like a joke that she accidentally sat on the ornament and that was going to be funny. But then like nothing really happened with it. And I was like, what? Like the boss obviously knows that she's decorating this tree. The tree is there.
Yeah.
Like I said, it doesn't matter. But I just thought that was funny. I was like, it was such a perfect setup for a joke to ever sit on this ornament. And, but they didn't do it. Anyway.
She was upset at all about the holiday spirit or whatever, or
Yeah.
decorating. I just had this thought right now, going back to Candace really quick. Do you remember that movie Candace did eons ago, where her father had the not Christmas land, but it was some Christmas town or Christmas something. Oh, it was Tom Arnold.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's that called?
And she was kind of a mean girl who like came in, and her assistant had all this Christmas stuff on her desk, and she like screamed about it.
It's
She was
mistletoe
so upset.
something, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the Moonlight over Mistletoe.
Moonlight,
Oh, yeah.
Moonlight Mistletoe.
Yes,
Moonlight
that's what it's
over-
called.
I liked it, but I'm like, I was just thinking of that. Like, she was kind of kind of rough with her assistant about like her Christmas decorations.
That's true.
In that movie.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, so she's off to Garland, and she's nervous about it because she knows that her ex lives in Garland. So we're supposed to buy that all of a sudden his name has just left me. What's his name? Andy. So we're supposed to buy that Andy had gone to Seattle, right? For school or something, to live there. He'd gone to live there.
Yeah.
And this is after Lauren, right?
That was before Lauren.
Oh, before Lauren.
Because that was from the first movie. He
talked
talked
I remember
about
that now.
Oh, did he?
Right?
Okay.
His father got upset with him because he left town.
Okay. I did not watch the first one before this, which I wish I'd had time. But anyway, so Andy goes to Seattle. He meets Erica there. And he evidently set the bar very high for boyfriends. That's never been able to be topped.
Yes.
They did have oh, sorry, go ahead.
He is pretty cool. I like Andy. I like the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there's not very many people at the inn. And we have Brian Doyle Murray. He's basically zooming in for every scene in this movie. So obviously he was at a different location than the rest of the shoot. But nevertheless, there's that, and his cousin Joy is like the head elf.
Yes. I was so happy to see Kim Shaw. Like that was like the best. Like I loved her in that role. That was cute.
That was. She looked familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kim Shaw.
What else was she in?
The Christmas Scavenger
she was
Hunt.
in Christmas Scavenger Hunt. Oh, that one was a fun one. That one I remember mostly for how much I liked the wrong guy in that movie.
Yeah.
Nobody else remembered at all, but I thought the fact they didn't pick him up from the airport and he was like, "You were supposed to pick me up from the airport." I was like, "This is wrong." And I had that wrong guy, John Welch. I had him on for an interview, one of my all-time favorites. It is such a funny interview if you want. We did a whole a Christmas Scavenger Hunt 2 brainstorming session. It was really fun. No. But yes, so she's there, and that was really fun to have the whole cast basically back. Was great. Everybody in Garland. You got Hattie at the diner, and
I love Hattie.
Yeah, that was really fun. Of course, they still don't make. They just have black coffee.
Yeah. She had the fat-free milk though, or what kind of? What was the milk? Yeah.
Yeah, and they figured out the blue and a pink sugar.
Yeah.
That was funny. You have the little romance between Hattie and Martin, the cab driver. Did you think that was cute, Colleen?
Yeah, it was. He was funny.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was cute too. And so basically this movie, we have him trying to save the inn. She's trying to decide what kind of recommendation she should give to her boss. And I kind of liked the fact that they didn't make it a whole like, you betrayed me, kind of a thing, as much as they could have, at least with her. Like, I felt like he basically understood that she was just doing her job and wasn't too huffy about it, which I appreciated.
Yeah, that's true. He handed it in a mature fashion.
Yeah, and he says that he built the observatory for her. So that was very swoon-worthy, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we get a pretty early kiss. They were very cozy, looking in this observatory. That was fun.
I was surprised that we got an early kiss. I was like, okay, it's not going to happen, and then it did happen. I'm like, oh,
yeah, there was like
Hallmark.
a near kiss, and then they went for it, which I love.
Hallmark's giving us early kisses this year, and we aren't complaining.
Yeah.
Oh, not at all.
Yes. And so she gets all this idea. We're going to invest in SEO. We're going to invest in advertising. But the thing I guess I didn't really understand about this is that what she says, like, we're going to invest early. But I'm like, isn't it Christmas time now? Like, how could this advertising be so effective that it gets more people there this season? Probably not likely. But it's the magical Hallmark, I suppose. And I have to say, throughout the whole movie, even though this was filmed in December, I was like, this is way too, they are not bundled enough for Alaska in the winter. I mean, all of her coats, although she did have quite a few coats, but all of her coats were all too light, too open. They were like open. And I was just like, you're going to be freezing. And even his coat seemed a little light to me, light jacket more than like, if you're in Alaska in the winter where there's only like 6 hours of daylight, you need like a puffy, thick coat.
Yes, true. I agree.
I'm no expert on Alaska, but I'm pretty sure on that one.
Like the big down coat Chris Palaha had in that other movie, where like
Yes.
that blue one, like that would be perfect.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And you need like earmuffs and, you know, multiple scarves. She finally did get a scarf in here, but
Hmm.
I really liked the whole little section where they're talking about the gift of the Magi.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that good. It was good because she sees it as this being this really sad story. And I forget who it was that she's, whether it was Hattie or somebody else, but she's talking about it that it's a selfless story. It says the gift of the Magi is love over selfishness. You missed the whole message of the story.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was good, I thought.
That was
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
It's weird that so she leaves, but she leaves to stay with his mom. That was kind of weird.
Mhm.
Well, she had met, right? Isn't that right? Had they actually met before this trip?
Uh-huh. I don't think so, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just so you think that she didn't know that was his mom that she was going to be staying with?
No, I think she knew her, but I just don't think she like had met her before she had been to come to
Uh-huh.
Alaska. I don't
Because
think.
I would think like, oh, I'd stay with Hattie or just somebody else. I would not stay with, if I was trying to avoid my ex-boyfriend, I wouldn't stay at his mom's house.
His
Exactly.
mother.
Like you don't,
Oh.
but like you barely know. Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. So there's the whole thing with Andy and his dad and him not wanting to take over the family business. Who knew that the what do you say, the bequeathment of the Santa industry would be so dramatic, but he doesn't want to take over. He doesn't want to be Santa.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be Santa?
I don't
mean,
understand. No, I have no idea.
all the cookies.
Yeah, especially if you can just eat cookies all year long. Which it seems like he's not doing a very good job of following Lauren's advice.
No.
I
That's
thought
for
of
sure.
that when he's eating in that first, like in the early in the movie, and I'm like, uh-oh. he did
Yeah.
not follow doctor's orders.
So then she tells Andy that she gave the commission to a colleague, and then he's talking to his dad and says that he will pay him back for the investment in the inn. And he says, I know how much this means to you, and I don't want you to worry about me. And so I would think that Santa, in a world where there's Santa Claus, which they don't get any money for the toys left, they're just
Mhm.
left there, right? So there has to be some kind of magic money for that supports Santa Claus, right?
True.
Or
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, unless it's some kind of secret government grant, but that would be like very expensive. So I think that there's like I think there's like a cave and like in the Bible, there's that meal that whenever the widow needs it, she can keep drawing from it and drawing from it and drawing from it until the things. I think it's something kind of like that. It's like that, but like the Santa goes and gets like gold from someplace, and it just keeps
I like that.
Yeah.
Reappearing. Yeah.
That's some kind of magic.
Right.
Right. So evidently some of that magic is now going to be used to support the inn. Which I'm fine with.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a world of Santa. Yeah.
I did think that the present opening party was pretty fun, but the music was way over the top. It was just like Christmas songs. And so he then Andy apologizes to Erica for not giving her choice, for just leaving, which I appreciate that, because I hate that trope of the guys being like, I knew you would pick me over your career, so I made the choice for you.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yes, for sure.
And he names a star after her. I guess we should.
Sweet.
Yeah. What do you think, Colleen? Do you think sweet or do you like that?
Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's really, I think it's cool.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it is cheesy. There's no doubt, but it's a Hallmark movie. Of course it's cheesy. But especially because their thing was the observatory.
Stars. Yeah.
Right. It was very appropriate for the context.
Yeah. And, I'm never that big a fan of the whole, like, we live different places, so we can't fall in love. But here, I kind of liked that she just said it's never going to be the right time unless we make time. And so that's the thing. Like, if you're in love, you just move. You just move. There's not a question of like, no, I won't move because where I live is more important than literally the person I love. No human being would do that. And I get also the complaint of like, women shouldn't be expected to just give up their jobs for a man. I understand that, but nevertheless, like, there's nobody who's going to give up on love because they don't want to move.
True.
So I kind of like that she said that. And we find out that Joy is going to take over at the North Pole, which I feel like we need a spinoff movie. Do you agree?
Yes.
That kind of said, you almost think they were maybe thinking about it.
Yeah. I would
female
be,
Santa.
Oh, yeah. Female Santa. She was so cute. I think it would be great. And I would just be so happy to have Hallmark be doing a real Santa in the North Pole movie. It's been so long.
Yes, that'd be fun.
We need some of that magic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when the second North Pole movie was, but I feel like that's the last one that's like really in the North Pole.
Yeah. Like 2016, 2015.
That recent? Maybe, yeah. That's 7 years. 6, 7 years.
I would be so happy. Let's see when we ran it. 2015, yeah. So it's been that long. So then we get a kiss and Santa flies over the moon. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. I loved it so much. It's ridiculous.
That's Garland for you. Yes.
That's Garland. Yeah. So, Caroline, what would you give this 1 to 5 crowns?
I'm gonna give it 3.5. 3.5.
Yeah. What about you? Sorry, go ahead.
I said I really liked it, and I like visiting the characters again. So,
what would you give it, Colleen?
I guess I would say the same, because it was really well done, and they did it. It wasn't unique enough and separate enough from the original to make it, work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I agree 3.5. I was nervous about it, so it was better than I expected it to be. So I left with a big smile on my face. So maybe 3.75. Give it a little bump because it really was better than I anticipated. So, all right, very good. Then we had Jolly Good Christmas. And this movie, it's funny because it had a lot going on, but it was actually a really pretty simple movie. So I didn't take that many notes compared to Cozy Christmas Inn. I took way more notes of that. So, which is kind of interesting. But we had this from Will Kemp. We got to have him on the podcast again. He's so great. Love him. And director Jonathan Wright, writer Ron Oliver. David is an American architect who recently moved to London for a prime opportunity in a prestigious firm. With just 3 days before Christmas, he crosses path with Anji, a professional shopper who raises an eyebrow over his choice of a gift card for his girlfriend. David ultimately decides to hire Anji and thanks to a series of unexpected events, finds himself on a wild adventure across jolly old London as Anji helps him search for the perfect present. So I think we should say, first of all, just right out the bat, do we all agree that there was no reason to give him an American accent?
Right.
Make him an American.
Absolutely no reason. I didn't understand that choice.
Like, I think that was just in the original script, and for some reason they just were kind of
didn't change it.
Yeah, they were like, somehow they like thought it was this essential part of his character when you could have had him be new in the city from anywhere. You could have had him be from Wales or, I mean, just somewhere else in the UK.
Londonderry, wouldn't have mattered.
There's
He
no
could have been
reason. We're just a different part of London, and he's just moved there and just gotten this
or he
job.
started that job. Yeah, exactly. It's a new.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
There was no reason that he had to be an American, except for that the script said he was. I didn't get it. I did not get it. And I think for some people that was like a big hurdle. I didn't really care that much, but like it didn't make sense.
Right.
Agree.
Yeah. And then I guess let's talk about the other thing. The barrier in this movie was the fact, at least when we did the preview, I think I gave it a sock because my worry was that why is he like have a girlfriend? I think if they had made it, he was buying a gift card for his mother, or sister, I don't think it would have been really any different. But that said, I think that they handled the emotional cheating aspect pretty well. Like they didn't really start to kind of flirt with that until the very, very, very end. And then he breaks up with this girl. He never seemed that invested. They'd only been dating for 3 months. So
Right.
overall, I didn't have a big issue with that, but I also feel like it's one that it was like a barrier in the script that is like easily solvable. That why not just have him be buying a gift card for his sister, and you could have all of the other shenanigans except for the girlfriend just didn't need to exist. The whole movie would have been exactly the same if it had
the father being his boss, and being her father being his boss. I feel like they put that in, so they had to make it happen, I guess, for that reason. But it wasn't needed.
Yeah, I don't think it was needed because if you have him like missing the meeting and some other things as far as work, you could work in all of that boss not being happy elements without him dating his daughter. And so I think those two elements did not need to be there in this movie, but did they really impact my enjoyment? No, they really didn't. I still had a great time with it. What did you think, Caroline?
Yeah, I went in thinking like, oh, the girlfriend thing, but once they said that it was like only like a couple months that they've been dating, I kind of like, okay, like they're not really like in love, like they're not like invested in this relationship, and so that helped me. And I really liked Will in this role, even though his accent, I was like, okay, but I really liked their chemistry, and the story I thought was fun.
What do you think, Colleen?
I really liked it. Yeah, the accent got to me, but not enough to affect like my overall enjoyment. But I was just in London for a couple of weeks in the
Oh
summer,
yeah.
and love London. So I was watching for landmarks, and all that stuff. I was looking for that kind of stuff. Like I saw Buckingham Palace and Big Ben they showed a bunch of times and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that bridge they were walking on, I know where that is. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But the other part I loved was the cultural choice to have um a woman who is like Indian, I assume.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. I loved her, and I loved the whole thing about. And there's a large Indian population in London, and even the mayor is Indian. So I think that was great that they chose that route. And I loved the restaurant, the family bar, the family pub, and all that stuff.
Yeah. What was interesting is Will was saying in the interview was that Reshma, that she's from New York, and so she had to put on a British accent. He is from
No way.
No.
Yeah, that's what he said, which is hilarious.
Wow.
So how do you all feel about gift cards in general? Do you think like both is receiving and giving? Caroline, what do you think about them do you think they're a lame gift, both receiving and giving?
I think I like getting gift cards and giving gift cards. Like I don't, because it's not that it takes away from the shopping. I'm like, okay, I I know they will enjoy this and they can get whatever they want, and so I like that, and I like getting them so I can use it on whatever I want to, and not, you know, spend my money.
Yeah, what do you think, Colleen?
I love them. I'm pro gift card. I'm all for gift cards, giving and getting, giving and receiving. And yeah, I could see in some cases where it might not. It might take away. If there's some kind of emotional reason not to buy a gift card, I could see the point of not buying one. But then gift hunting gets harder and harder as years go by, at least for me.
Yeah. No, it is way harder because I mean, for kids, most of the time you can get them like a pretty cool gift for under $10 or certainly under $20 that they'll be excited about and that they'll love. And it's harder, not impossible, but it's harder to find something like that for an adult, that they really, be excited to buy and be really thoughtful and whatever. Whereas like for a gift card, you can either become part of a bigger gift, be like, put this towards blank, or you can, I think the best time you use the gift cards is when they're part of like kind of an experience of like, hey, let's go together when you get blank, or let's go to lunch and here's a gift card to the restaurant or something like that.
I've been to showers, like wedding showers and stuff, where it's just a gift card shower and everyone just gives them different gift cards.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah. And you can even, if you don't like the place that you have to be given a gift card, I've heard that you can donate them to like charities will accept gift cards to, even if it's not for their organization, they can do that. I've heard of that. So there's ways you can use it.
And now they're selling some of those ones. I just saw them the other day. I was just hunting where you can buy one that has like 10 different places on it that you could go to, or stores or mixed.
That's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Well, this character, Anji, she turns up her nose at gift cards, and she's the gift whisperer. And you knew as soon as you saw that they both had green bags that this was going to not end well, that they were going to have to be switched. And luckily he had name dropped where he works and she remembered. So then she goes back and they end up in this whole day of London. I was a little bit surprised when they have him accidentally shoplifting. Because usually in Hallmark movies, they avoid any kind of illegal activity. Even by
that
accident.
Is true.
That was crazy. That was almost like like a different, that part was almost like a different movie or a different network or something.
Yeah.
A little more like, for risque is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Yeah, more than we normally see.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of the shoplifting scene in Breakfast at Tiffany's, where they go into the Five and Dime and steal those masks. But anyway, I think that they probably ADR'd the king's coming.
Yeah, I thought that too. I'm like, because they didn't film it like the last month or whatever.
Like 2 months ago.
Or
no, a month ago. Month and a half.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that, I'm like, ADR. I'm like,
yeah. So I think it's the first Hallmark movie to acknowledge Prince Charles. Probably one of the first movies. King Charles, excuse me.
But then they money, and she's going to be on the money, and it got me. You know, they have to change all the money.
Yeah, that's wild.
So true.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That'll take years to it'll circulate forever.
Because it's not just the UK, it's Canada, it's like other places have. Yeah.
Those commonwealths.
Yeah. So yeah, what did we think of her parents and the pub? It was.
I love her. I love her parents. I'm like, they're so cute.
Little pushy, and I thought the father was on her side for one thing, but then he got pushy about something else, and I'm like, oh, they're like equal opportunity pushy parents. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
But the pub was so cute. What was it called? The Hungry Manchester?
Something like I didn't write it down. The name.
I love that name.
Yeah. And I thought it was really cute that he lied about having his keys because he just wanted to stay with her.
That was sweet.
Yeah. So then he breaks up with the girlfriend because they really have nothing in common, and it's kind of a mutual breakup. And then we also had there were all kinds of shenanigans we didn't even talk about, like when he falls into the river,
the water. Yeah, that was so funny. I'm like, oh no.
Was that the River Thames? I assume.
I think so. Yeah. And so he misses his big meeting and all the different stuff. And we also have his best friend played by Callum Blue, who has is married, has a husband, and so that was a nice little side character. And then and then they get together at the end, and it's really cute. So yeah, this movie, I just thought it was a really fun movie, really fun little comedy. So I'm going to give it a 4.25. There's not that much I would change about it, really.
I was going to say 4.25 too. So
yeah. What do you think, Colleen?
Oh, I was gonna go with 4, but then you know what I was thinking? It was London. I was just there. I love it. It's one of my favorite places. And they had fish and chips. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's 4.25.
It made me want to go to London.
Yeah, me
it really
too.
did, because I've never been.
Awesome. You've never been?
Only to the airport.
Oh,
which doesn't count.
No, it's really great.
I've been to Scotland.
My sister lives in Manchester, so I should go to the UK.
Oh, they ask her if you when I was there, I was in Manchester too for 2 days. They call it Rainchester. Ask her if she knows that.
Okay, I will.
It rains all the time. Rainchester.
Yeah, she's married to a British man. That's why she's over there. So
you need and ask her about the currency, how if it's like what's happening with that. Because I'm curious now.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Jen Johans, host of the podcast Watch with Jen, which delivers a steady stream of great movie recommendations, thoughtful career deep dives, and first-rate conversations with film critics, authors, actors, journalists, filmmakers, and more. You can find Watch with Jen wherever you get your podcasts, or hear us first at our Patreon at patreon.com/filmintuition.
Then we have on Movies and Mysteries, we had Christmas Bedtime Stories. And I have to say that Erin was very sneaky because when I was interviewing her, I specifically read the summary about the husband being missing in action. And she was like, oh no, he's dead. He's departed. He's deceased. And I'm like, oh, Erin, he's sneaky.
He lied. Held truth.
But this starred Erin Cahill and Steve Lund, director Lee Slate Rogers, and as the summary says, when Danielle's husband goes missing in action during his deployment, she is left to raise her daughter on her own. 3 years later, as she acclimates to life without him, she begins to tell her daughter bedtime stories of her father. And I guess I will start on this one because it did surprise me, partly because Erin said that and did that. But I just don't think it's very good storytelling. And I feel bad because it's written by Andrea Canning, who I really love. She's great, but it's just not good storytelling to like build up a character and a relationship for the majority of the movie, get you invested in that. And then with 10 minutes left, all of a sudden this person that you thought was gone is all of a sudden back, and you're supposed to be emotionally invested in this person because it's her original person, it's her original husband. But the whole movie has been spent establishing this other couple and this other person. So I think it was not a great screenplay. It was not a well executed story. I like all the pieces involved, all the people involved, but I just don't think that's fundamentally good storytelling. Again, to build up a whole character and then 10 minutes left with the movie, be like, psych, nope, you're wrong. So I didn't love this one. What did you think, Colleen?
I saw your tweet about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not, I thought it was the only one that was going to say I did not like what she did to Pierce.
Yeah.
I hated it. I'll be honest with you. I was so mad. It was really cute. I really liked, I liked the idea of everything. I like the idea. I do believe in signs. I do think those things happen, but it just did not work out the way I wanted it to. I don't know. I'm not saying I didn't want the husband to come back, but at the same time, maybe that is what I'm saying. I don't know.
It needed to happen much sooner in the story so you could be as invested, and maybe there'd be like more conflict between the two choices or something like that.
Yeah.
And because it's also just, I don't know everything about the army, but I don't think that it would get to the point where he shows up at the daddy-daughter dance unannounced. Like the army would definitely know about him and be telling her, and especially if she's living on base, like it just didn't even make sense, really.
And they wrote a scene with her going back to the captain again.
Yeah.
Questions, and he said, no, we don't have intelligence. So I'm like, seriously?
And they said like if there was no like American like held captive, like or something like that they were like it was like all international like prisoners of war or whatnot.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way, because he would, in order to get on an international flight to get home, he would have to inform the army, and like security and things like that would know this guy's coming back. And he probably wouldn't even have a passport at that point because he'd been a prisoner and everything. And so he would have to have some kind, there's just no way that the army wouldn't know that he's coming back and that he would just show up at this dance. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I like the first half of the movie. I'm like, okay, it's her moving on, and Steve won. Like, I love him, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna be happy, or like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, I got this bad feeling. I'm like, oh no, and then I'm like, oh no, and like, I wish that either the husband was like deceased and they moved on, or there was no Pierce at all, and it was just her with the daughter by herself, and then he comes back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The two together, I'm like, I was so invested in that relationship, and then it just went
Yeah, because
away.
I
I'm
think
like,
that would have been a nice story of her telling these bedtime stories of of her father, her daughter's
mm-hmm,
father, and then seeing them transition to a new family, but still keeping the message, keeping the father alive through, because he was a friend of both of theirs, the father
yeah.
alive through the stories. And you could have even had Pierce telling a story like at the end to the little girl, and like that would have been so sweet and lovely.
And then like when the sign started happening, I'm like, oh, for sure he's not, like he's not alive. Like you know what I mean? Like I thought that, angel
Yeah.
sending, the signs, and then like, oh, I just went to the wayside.
Yeah, or maybe at the very end they finally do find the body, or there's some kind of closure
Mm-hmm,
of some kind or something like that.
mm-hmm,
Or yeah, like they, I don't know. He's like he's looking down on her from the Christmas star or something, something cheesy like that.
mm-hmm.
That would have been better for sure.
And I almost feel like we were talking about emotional cheating. Like I almost feel like it was, even though it was her husband. I mean, she was emotionally cheating on her fiance. It
Yeah.
didn't work. Like
And
she just pulled away. It was not. It just was not good.
and he was just so supportive, and he's
Yeah.
like, he was just trying so hard. And I'm like, oh, poor Pierre. Like he needs justice. He needs a movie about him moving on.
I know. We really do. Maybe he can go up to the North Pole and hang out with Joy.
Yes.
I think that's what
And
we need.
who's gonna tell Colby that Danielle was like engaged to
Right.
Pierce? Oh,
Yeah, I feel like that's awkward.
yeah.
And and especially because she basically completes the grieving process. She gives away, she packs up all of his stuff, his uniform, like all of that. And so I mean, you never complete, but like she'd had as close to closure as you're going to be able to get. And so it was like the perfect moment for her to then get married and have a new family. Like that would have been such a nice moment, because she never really had any problems with Pierce. It's
Mm-mm.
not like he was a bad man of business or something like that she was settling for, like in the Christmas card or something like that, whereas there's this other guy who's, the non-soldier guy, not as good. It wasn't like that at
Mm-hmm.
all. So I don't know. It's definitely my least favorite
And
of
I
all the
wanted
ones so far.
to like it so much because I love Erin,
Me too.
and like I love all her movies, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And then I was like, oh,
And is this the
I
first
want.
movie that Erin has sung in?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was like, she has a good voice. It's a very
She
sweet
does.
voice.
Mm-hmm.
And she did Silent Night, of course.
We need
Of
Steve
course.
happy movie. Like this is 2 years in a
Yes.
row where he's got a really sad movie. Like do
Yeah.
something.
I mean, I'm glad that he's on Lifetime. He's in a happy movie with the 6 Degrees of Santa with Catherine
Oh,
Davis. So I'm looking forward to
Oh
that.
yeah.
But yeah.
He needs a Hallmark Channel movie, and no more Hallmark movies and mysteries for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love Christmas Cottage. That's one of my favorites.
Yes,
And
that's good.
that's speaking of cozy movies, that is such a cozy movie.
Mhm.
Really fun. So he needs one like that. He can be like the stuffy chef again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But yeah, I don't know. I like everybody involved with this, but I'm gonna give it a 2.
Ooh.
Because I just fundamentally don't think it was a very well-written story. Because that's just not how you manage your characters.
Mm-hmm.
To bring in a new love interest, essentially a new love interest for our character in the last 10 minutes. That doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you, Caroline?
I'm gonna give it 2.5. just because the 0.5 is because I love Aaron and Steve Lund, and the first part was really good.
Yeah.
So that's 2.5. Yeah.
What do you think, Colleen?
I'll split the difference and I'll go right in the middle, 2.25. It's
Okay.
just Steve Lund, Steve and Aaron are great. It was good for like 75% of it, and then it went downhill. And it ruined it. Like it just it's not redeemable.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Our last one for the weekend was Ghosts of Christmas Always, this on the 30th. And I thought it was so brilliant to have what is essentially their Halloween release, to have a ghost movie. That was so clever.
That is good. Yeah.
Very clever. And this was actually, I didn't say it in the preview because I didn't know, but it was written by Zach Hugg, who we love, and he's great. And so then it stars Ian Harding, Kim Matula, and Reginald VelJohnson. Director Rich follows Catherine, a ghost of Christmas present, as she helps one soul to rediscover his Christmas spirit, but this year has something unusual in store. So when you have something like Christmas Carol, it is pretty hard to do a new spin on it that works, because it is such a classic story, and that people won't feel kind of betrayed, that you ruined their classic Christmas story. Christmas Carol. So it's a very hard thing to do, but I thought this worked very well. And I really appreciated all the lore work that they did about this whole system of the ghosts. And there's this door that's your door to the unknown. And when you're ready to take it, you take it. And that basically they spend all year researching for these people that they are helping, Scrooging. And they even thought of it with that Charles Dickens wasn't the first one to have this, but he was just the one to write it down.
Yeah, I love that.
That was really clever. So it worked for me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very clever take on a classic story, and even having them Scrooging the wrong person and how it all kind of worked together. Very clever. So I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. What about you, Caroline? What'd you think?
I love this movie. It was so fresh, and I love all the characters, and they had good chemistry, all of them. And with the ghost, I loved them. Reginald, I'm like, oh, he's in a Hallmark movie. And it was just so fun, and the spin was really interesting, and I like how they were connected, and I just really enjoyed it. It kept my interest the whole time.
The only real critiques I had is that they could have used Reginald more. Like he really, because they didn't have a future section. He really wasn't in it very much, and that might have been fun to have had him more. But I think that Kim, who's new to Hallmark, I loved her interview, by the way. She was great, really funny. But she has like an old soul about her, I think, in the sense of it feels like she's somebody from the 40s. Like I bought it. And so that I thought it was really strong casting in that way, especially for her, but even for him too. He kind of has I felt like he kind of had an old soul too. But what did you think, Colleen, overall?
I enjoyed it a lot. It was very unique. It was different. and it was fresh. I looked her up, and she was on a soap opera, Bold
Yeah.
and Beautiful. But she looks like another soap actress who's older. And I'm like, yeah, she does have an older look to her, even though I looked her up, she's only like 35, something like that. But she was great. And who is the older lady? Because I love her.
Yes.
She was who played Irene. She was hilarious. What was her name?
She's in a show with Aquafina, which makes total sense to me.
Oh yeah, Lori Tan Chin is her name.
Oh, she was awesome.
Yeah, she was great.
I loved her. Yeah.
Yeah. Really funny. I mean, just everybody in the cast was really fun. I liked the lady who runs the Blair Baker's the actress's name, Charlie, who runs the division, I guess you'd call it, of Christmas Ghosts. I mean, did you agree with me that the whole lore that they set up with the Scrooging and that they had like a year to research and all of that kind of stuff was good? What do you think of that, Caroline?
I love that, and it gave like you said, something new, and I like that they have their teams, so like, they always work together. So that I like that. That was cute.
At first, I was a little bit like, why are all three of them together? Like, that's weird. But it worked in the story. They explained it.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that they were using Scrooging as a verb.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I thought it had a really good script. I think that Zach did a great job with, just little lines, like when he talks about the Bill Murray one is my favorite. And then he said the Carrie Fisher one is really good and quite underrated. Which, of course, that's the Hallmark one. So that was funny. That was a fun line. And then also the one where they all sing the Scrooge is Dead, which is the Albert Finney one.
Yeah.
The musical. Where they go to hell. So that was very fun. And so they spent some time going into his past, Peter's past. And he gets like a new bike for Christmas, and they're trying to kind of show his relationship between his grandpa versus his relationship with his dad. And of course, we find out later that his dad is the one that actually needed the Scrooging, not him, but they got it wrong. And so, his dad is the real Scrooge, and he kind of his dad grew up resenting his father's goodness because it constantly put like stress on the family, financial stress. So, he says that business doesn't take holidays. And so then you also get this sort of plot line of there's this, what do they call it? The Frog Hollow Angel. And what is the Frog Hollow Angel? And so we get there's this woman, Betsy, and we find out that she was the best friend of Catherine. And I thought that they managed to do that, like put in these little clues throughout the whole thing that I think even the second time watching it, I'll pick up on even more.
Me too.
Yeah.
With everything.
Cool.
At first, I'm like, she's not the grandma. I'm like, please, like this. I knew like she had to be the best friend. Like she couldn't be the grandma.
Yeah. Because that would, I mean, to be honest, I would have been fine with this movie just ending up with her going through the door and being done. I didn't really need her to come back and them to fall in love and everything like that. I don't really have a problem with it, but I would have been fine with this movie just being about friendship and community and the difference that even a small life like Catherine's can make.
Yes, I agree.
But what do you think of Ian Harding? Think he was good in the role? Did you like him, Colleen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is he new to Hallmark? I don't remember him.
I don't remember seeing him either in anything. I'm looking through.
He hasn't been in Hallmark, no.
I liked him. He used to do more.
He was on Pretty Little Liars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say he was on Pretty Little Liars, which I haven't watched. I should, with how many people in Hallmark are.
It was funny seeing Ezra Ezra in Hallmark. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun because I always liked Ian. Like when I watched Pretty Little Liars, I always liked him. So it was fun seeing him in Hallmark.
Yeah. And like I said, I liked the little lines where like when he says Dickens was a real piece of work.
Yeah.
It's really funny. And I thought it was interesting, instead of his dad just being a bad man of business, that they tried to sort of build out his character a little bit more. And the fact that Peter kept making excuses for his dad was humanizing to the character. That even though his dad like stopped him from doing the food donations and some other things like that, he was always defending his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think that's natural for families, at least. Yeah. So.
And then we find out that Catherine passed away. I think, did they say that she was like, was she hit by a car or something like that? Like crossing the road?
Is that what happened? Because I heard like
I heard the car squeak, the wheels, and
because then she said, I was glad it was me, not Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Betsy becomes the grandma.
Yes.
And right. And then
because that's when they met. The grandpa and grandma met that night. That was Catherine. Mm-hmm.
And you see Catherine's picture at the Frog Hollow Angel Center event that they go to. Mm-hmm. It's like, ooh, that's a clue.
Yeah.
And it's something little, but I like the name of that other place, the Rudy Tooty.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was good. And at the very beginning, he can see her, even though at the time he's not her assignment.
Yeah, I thought that was neat.
And then later on, Reginald says, there's no visit to the future because you were always the assignment. That's very cute. Very clever. And Peter says, you are somebody I could love and you could love me too. At least I got to feel this once.
That was sweet.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I could have been fine with her walking out that door and them just having, been friends and everything. But of course, that's a Hallmark movie. So they come back and we get a kiss at the end and everything is happy. And the dad has decided to change. And also we had one of the women who had been Scrooged had the Scrooging happen.
Yes.
She comes back.
I loved her.
Yeah, she was funny. She was really funny. What was her? I forget her name. But
she was singing. Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah, so she sings and makes an impression on his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they need a romance next Christmas.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I do feel like this is something that you could make a franchise. I really do. I feel like you could have different angels and different people that get the help every Christmas. It would be, you wouldn't, like, I guess I feel like the only thing is you wouldn't be able to make every single one a romance. Mm-hmm. That would get cheesy. Right. But I feel like you could make this a franchise. I mean, if they make Godwinks a franchise, come on.
I know. And the Angel Falls, like that.
Yeah, Angel Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So
are you listening, Hallmark?
Yes.
We want this.
So I would give this a very high score. I really enjoyed it. There's hardly anything that I would change. So I am going to give this a 4.75.
Wow.
Not perfect. And not a perfect score yet. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great and one I could imagine watching every year. What do you think, Caroline?
I was going to give it 4.75 as well.
Nice.
Because it's too early in the season for a 5. I might change it. I might change it at the end.
Yeah, me too. Last year I didn't give a perfect score until the first week of December. So
Oh wow.
for Kiss Before Christmas, which I love.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So what about you, Colleen? What would you give it?
I'm going to go a little lower. I really liked it. I'm going to give it a 4.25. I really liked it, but I'm holding out for the big one, whatever that is.
Very good.
3 Men and a Baby.
Well, this was really fun to talk about these. So if you're listening, let us know what you think and what score you would give to each of these movies. We would love to hear your thoughts. And Caroline, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Mina Caroline R.
Great. And Colleen?
Twitter and Instagram at Lily44094.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod, the Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. It helps people to find the podcast. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group. We'll be doing giveaways. We're doing all kinds of fun stuff with the Patreon group. Our watch-alongs are so much fun. So please take a look and support us on the Patreon. And then we also have the merch store, which has tons of fun, festive designs. And we even have our team designs for the upcoming 3 Wise Men and a Baby, where you can get your Team Andrew, Team Tyler, and Team Paul shirts. So definitely want to get on that right away. And thanks so much, everybody. Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Merry Christmas.